Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers to Podcast Live to Battlefield. Today, you're going to learn a very valuable lesson from the two great mentors, two great public speakers, two gentlemen who know how to make this life better. And above all, I think all need somebody to lend us a hand when we need the most. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Keith Saggers and Matthew Caruana. Guys, thank you for coming to the secret location.
Yes.
Okay, so
It's great to be here.
guys, Matt, we know each other for some time now. You know what I mean? We share the studio together. And I mean, you're one of the most tenacious people I know. And the reason for that it is because you never give up on your life. And you show everybody, the world and everybody that it's possible. So Matt, can you introduce yourself quickly? Who is Matthew Caruana?
Oh, my name is Matt Caruana. I'm 24 years old, co-director of Seismic Jump here with Keith. And yeah, we run self-leadership through self-mastery programs.
Why Keith Saggers? We know both Keith. You know, you introduced me to Keith. So why Keith? Why with the Keith? Why we not somebody else?
Well, we first met, it was 2018, via phone, when you were doing a documentary series on suicide before it's too late. And I suppose you heard about my story, reached out, and we kept in contact. It was a mentor-mentee relationship for a number of years. And then the start of 2023, we formalized a business partnership in Seismic Jump.
Ah, nice. Keith, now all attention on you, my friend. Camera there. Keith, what's the feeling to be now, not be behind the camera, but
Right.
being the person on the camera looking at you, and now we're recording this? Because you are known that you directed many things in your life. You've been behind the camera, very successful businessman, and you are now with the Matt together, creating the better world. So, who's the Keith Saggers?
Well, I think really it comes down to visibility, because I have always been behind the scenes. And the only time I was visible, Mario, was, like I was explaining to Matthew, was when I was a high school teacher and I had groups of children, and I was given a cohort group of average 15-year-olds who were considered to be the disadvantaged, as the teachers called them, the little mongrels. But you know, they were at risk youth. And, you know, I was given this opportunity by the principal to say, Keith, would you like to step up as the teacher, take a course, create a course, and do what you want to do?
Yeah.
I did that. And on the first day, they all walked in, you know, disheveled, disgruntled, you know, bad attitude. And they looked at me, and I'm standing at the front of the classroom with a big whiteboard behind me, and they just looked at me like a challenge, you know, like, who's going to screw up here first with Mr. Saggers? Anyway.
Well, that was a good guess. So it's
yeah, that's right. And, you know, I didn't say a word. I just kept quiet. It unsettled them, because they expected me to be a teacher, like, you do this, you do that, you shut up and that. I did nothing. Very quickly I was right in the front of the front lines. I was with the troops. And I just came up with a formula on the spot, inspirational, called the value of V. And that's a story for another time, but the V stands for value, as I'll explain that straight away. But they all thought the V on the board that I put up stood for victim. And I said, who's the victim? Well, we are the victim, from our mum, our dad, our step-parents, the cops, the social workers, the teachers. And I went, right. But if you look at your chest from here to your navel, there's a big V. Have a look at it. It's a big blue V.
I agree with that. Maybe on your chest than the Matt chest, but mine's a little bit.
Yeah, Mama. We can narrow it in. We just cheat a little bit, shall we? But you had it, and I've talked to you about this before. So if you don't value yourself and you see victim, for whatever reason, it's there. So I took a razor, I started to erase the V off the board, and I said, unfortunately, over the year, the V goes, you lose your value. And they said, oh, that's really disappointing, you know, emotional. And I said, yeah, but the V, you have to give it to yourself. You don't wait for people to give you value. Yeah. Have value, live value, be valued, be valued. And that was the change. We had a marvellous year.
I have that very simple question, but the question stands on my mind for so long time, because a lot of people, I'll say, 95% of the people will sit on the side.
Yeah.
And they will always shouting, they know everything, what you need to do, what you need to do, me. Yeah. But they're just observers, right? They're just spectators. Yeah. There's a 5% of people who really push this. I divide this because of some of my own research, but this is totally my opinion, 5%, which you belong. 5% of people who doing something.
Yes.
You actioning. So it's a difference between like kid, you should do this, and kid, how are you doing this? What possessed two of you to step out and try to help the people around? Why? What was energy inside? What was a call you have inside of you to go against this 95% of the spectators, that you have a courage to step out in public domain and say, I'll do my best to share my knowledge and help other people?
Well, Matty will give you his version of it. Mine's very brief. Like
please
becoming a school teacher, I want to make something better for society, and you've got to start with one person at a time. And you've got to have a big vision for that. You've got to go, I'm here for the betterment of society. I'm not going to change society. I'm going to help make it better as best as possible. So when you have that big vision, you're living for something bigger than yourself. So you've stepped out of your own self-importance.
Yes.
And you've stepped into the universal, collective of humanity. And so for me, this is all about humanity and helping each individual find whatever it is inside them that's going to make them the best that they can be. Simple. That's all it is.
And I suppose for me, it's on a personal level, I suppose, after attempting suicide and ending up a paraplegic as a result, it was 4 months after, when I was still in hospital, this complete stranger on a train, asking me what had happened. And I'd never told anyone the truth, but I told him the truth. And, his reaction left me sort of startled. He said that was pretty stupid, wasn't it? But you're in this wheelchair after you've attempted suicide. What are you going to do about it now? And that was the question that turned my life around. I went from pitying myself, which I did for quite some time, and what I needed that entire time was hope. At the end of the day, that's what I needed. I needed an example of hope around me, and the biggest thing that I wanted to do was be that for others. Yes. And gradually over time, I've, made it my life's mission and dedicated every action towards being an example of hope for others.
May I ask a personal question? I know, because for those who don't know, Matt Caruana and I, we used to run the radio show, and I really enjoyed everything. But one thing always stuck with me, what you said, was that the moment you wake up in hospital after trying to commit suicide, you become conscious and you say, Jesus, whatever, I don't want to use the profanity here, because fuck it, I was not even capable to kill myself. That was the words stuck in me. Can you imagine you try to do something and then you turn your life around? You turn your life around. You are more mature than most of the people that are mature. You're more active in life than most of the people who are, who are not tied up with a wheelchair. They are. So Matt, where do you find your energy? Where do you find that drive inside of you? What drives you except you want to help? Is there anything else?
Being an example of hope is enough motivation for me, although to add to that, having the efforts that I put my actions towards, they inspire me within itself. Whether it was the Guinness World Record that Keith had the idea of, whether it's wheelchair basketball.
Of course, it was Keith. Keith has a good idea.
Which was his idea as well with the basketball too. But he saw my strengths, which was the key. And he helped me see that, okay, these are your strengths. Let's amplify your mission with your strengths. You're speaking at schools. That's all well and good. But let's amplify that. Let's make it even better. Let's fulfill that mission with a megaphone even.
Can I share something with you? I know it's going to sound very, very childish, but in last episode of Star Wars, okay? I know, it's Last Jedi. The leader Snoke, comes to the Kylo Ren and say, you ask yourself why I'm keeping this man on a power in a general hut, right? Yeah. And he says this: when you explore somebody's weakness, it can be very sharp tool, right? Instead of this, what Kid he did, it's an opposite. He found your strength, which is much more better. Which was like people explore someone else's weaknesses to manipulate them. Yeah. But Kid found your strengths, and that's what I said to guys. You should go to the Kid and the Matt, to assist you. So, Sesame Jump happened. Matt was doing the Guinness World Record. He didn't give up.
No. And, look, Matty trained with a good close friend of mine, Marcus Bondi, from Bondi Beach. He's quite an identity down there. He's now gone...
I saw on a poster, I was like, my God, this guy is something.
58 years old,
58.
and the guy is smashing records still to this day.
And he's now gone into real estate. And so he's still doing his personal training with people. But he understood, like I introduced him to Matty, and he said, what can I do to help? And it was all for free. Yeah. So he trained Matt for like nearly 8 months, like down at the Bondi Beach bars, the tower pull-up, and train and train and train and train. And what was his lovely saying was?
Training, straining, never complaining.
Training, straining, never complaining.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Matty lived into that. And the thing is, when Matt leaned into his real strengths, which was, as you've indicated, Mario, really well, it was resilience, but not as just in... You said something to me once too about what resilience really was, and I actually wrote about it. It's really good. Resilience needs courage. Everyone can have resilience, but you've got to have courage to activate it.
That's a good one.
You told me this.
We learned quite a lot about your life to Battlefield. It's a your baby as well. I mean, that's I can say this from my point of view. I always say, like, I will never come to name on my podcast Life to Battlefield if it's not Kid Saggers. The man is here. So that's the name he found for me. So, like, this is the privilege when I'm interviewing you together with the Matt today. And as I said, like, finding the strength in the people and their qualities rather than just weaknesses and hammer them down. It is something great. So how did what progress was go with for the Guinness World Record? How was for you as his mentor, as a friend?
Well,
who's gonna say it? I mean, like, yes.
I just wanted to add on, just with Marcus is saying, training, straining, never complaining. Yeah. That's a message you can take for life. But in terms of the training for the record itself, I mean, the forearm cramps, I mean, like, Marcus was pushing me beyond my limits. Like, you think you have your cap, but there's so much more you can tap into. And there's always that more. What's more? What more can I achieve? And how far can I take this? That's really the question that we were asking ourselves each and every session. And I mean, he then introduced me to a group of mates out there that do rope climbing. And
I saw that. I was doing some jungling. I mean, like, I just like, everybody's standing. Matty was in a wheelchair, and then he pulled himself up.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. We've got a couple of little sayings which we throw around. One is, the only way is up, and it's true. The other one is, nothing is out of reach, and it's true. And so when you go back to basics, and you boil all this conversation down to basics, it's about know thyself. And when you know thyself, you know how much more you can achieve. So when you're training, like, go for that next 2, Matt. He'd slap Matt on the shoulder, go for 2 more. And Matt, the look on Matt's face, but I've done it. Go for 2 more. So until you do that, you don't know who you really are. You don't know how much more you can achieve. You can do 2, you can do 4. You do 4, you can do 8. It's incremental. But like we've said in the past too, Mario, it's one step at a time. Now, we all know that Dr. Andrew Huberman has a big thing about, the habit loop, and James Clear with his book Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. It's all about incremental, one step at a time. It's like a compound interest in a bank account. One small thing builds to a bigger thing, and the pile gets bigger. If the right habits are put in place, then what you're going to have is a foundation that's unshakable. Well, when you have that, you have unshakable self-confidence, and you have a sense of clarity, and you have a sense of calmness. And we talk about calmness, and a lot of calmness comes when you're in flow state, and we all hear about flow state. And we talk about, people talk about mindfulness, people talk about meditation, but we talk about dynamic mindfulness, and that is when you're in a state like you're in when you're playing basketball like Matty is. He goes into a state, a high performance state, altered state of being. When you see the great athletes, or the Tiger Woods hit that magnificent 40-foot long putt into the hole, he says he's in the zone. He's in an altered state of being, which means his consciousness has lifted up. Now, we train people to do that. Some people have got it naturally, and I have to give great credit to our Indigenous players, and having grown up with Indigenous kids in a small country town, silky smooth skills. They could pick a ball. They could pick the ball up from behind them. Didn't even know the ball was there. I used to be amazed by that. And so I learnt that from the kids that I played with in a small country town. Then I brought it into our sort of milieu, if you want, and trying to retrain people to have that. And Matt and I do this all the time. So through our collaboration, we have a higher purpose. It's called profit for humanity. If you come back from that, then you're going to have values and virtues to match that, to bring it alive. Matt mentioned a word called hope, and we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to hope. But ultimately what we're doing is building a catalogue of personal inner assets to call upon to act like a GPS system, if you want, like an inner technology, isn't it, Matty?
Yeah, it's an inner GPS that we can use to navigate any life's challenges, any life circumstances, with calmness, with ease, with confidence, with certainty. And
be constantly possibilities mindset.
Absolutely.
It's got to be possibilities, because if you go into probabilities and mathematical, you often find people use that for reasons not to do things. So we talk about open skies, we talk about green fields, we just talk about possibilities mindset. So if, like as I say to you, and I did say to you, Murray, you've got so much, and really for me it was all back hinged to your childhood. And we have a similar childhood, and I've never really shared it with you. But also with your move through the police and the military, and having had some exposure to that, I guess through my Systema martial arts training and having trained with US Marines and that, I have some understanding of that as well. And you're right. You can all talk about being brave. You can talk about, I'm tenacious. I can withstand anything, until the guy runs at you with a knife.
Yeah. Look, I admire you, kid, for that one. I have one question for each of you, and I wanted to address this to everybody. There's a lot of people who talks, as you say, how to be brave, how to be resilient, alpha males. Let me share the story with you. Several weeks ago, it was a nice summer weather, I went on a beach, and I was there with a few friends. Anyway, long story short, there was a couple next to me, augmented beauty, right? It's silicones, the steroids, it's tattoos. Like it's perfect. Like when you see my V-shape opposite way.
Your normal shape.
But there was a struggle, right? So guy comes with a girl, you can see that, that it's tensions there already, but he needs to erect the tent. So he said, that's a 3 sticks. One front, one the back, middle, put a material over, V-shape, right? You have a tent. 45 minutes. We couldn't stop laughing. Deep inside me, my friends. I said to him, mate, I saw in the army how they're doing. Can I help you? Because this was 40 degrees. Sand was turning into glass. That's how hot it was.
Jeez. Wow.
Anyway, they have a fight. Him and girlfriend. After 45 minutes being burnt, right, and they left. And I think myself, this man is going to go somewhere and bullshit to people how great he is, and he can't even make the tent. Now, we come to the Matty and you, right? And you see the people who succeed and a lot of people who fail. My simple question is, why people fail? What is the main reason you see, Kate, that people fail when you talk to them, including myself, including, I don't know, Matt, whatever, just like, why people fail?
Absolutely, and I'm going to bring Matty into it, but I just want to frame it like this. We've created a brand new deliverable called Inner Seismic Power. And, of course, our company is called Seismic Jump, but Inner Seismic Power is touching upon what you said, and it's as simple as this. And martial arts is really good for learning this very quickly. If you don't have self-awareness, and there's different ways of talking about self-awareness, and there's all these self-awareness courses, but self-awareness means you have to be present. We talk about being present, but we never really are. We have to have self-awareness to know, is my voice soft or is it too loud?
Okay.
Am I leaning forward? Am I aggressive? Or am I actually compatible? Now, that's a simple example. But then, you get to a situation where you go, someone's being aggressive, or someone, like even that guy didn't take your offer to help him. You can get into a state of self-importance and go, well, you can just piss off then. I don't really care about you. But you do care. You do care. So what you do is you modulate yourself. And we have a formula called the 5 A's. The 5 A's, and you appraise your situation. You accept the situation. You adapt to the situation. And then you advance. And then as you advance, you ascend to a higher state of consciousness and being and operating as a benevolent human being. And that means everybody feels good. In fact, you can feel the spirit of it. I mean, I'm not religious. It's just the fighting spirit.
I was so interrupted, I can interrupt. This is my podcast show. So, guys, why I'll always refer you on Matt, because when you talk,
Yeah.
it's sparkling in your eyes. This is not a sales pitch. It's not a bullshit as a thing. Always like, and you know what, Matt, I can magically, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why. You
Yeah.
see, I'm just observing it right now.
Yeah.
So like, this guy believes what he says. That's what the difference it is.
Yeah.
So like, sorry,
No,
benevolence
it's-
being. And
It's a very good point, because in a way, I have, as I said earlier, and I won't go into detail today, I had a horrendous childhood, mental abuse, psychological abuse, sometimes physical abuse. This is from the age of 5, right, by the way, to 12.
Yeah.
And my twin sisters. So we had a horrendous childhood. So and that means I began to look at what was personal development. How was I going to adapt to that as a kid in a small country town? The teachers hated me. I was good at sport. They didn't like me, wouldn't put me in the team. They used to throw dusters at me. So I had to learn to survive, Mario. And that's what I used to talk to you about. Surviving is the greatest success you can ever have. Success is a byproduct of a...
Do you mind to say again, this is the kid's word. What does surviving it is?
If you can survive,
Yes.
that's success. I term success to be able to survive. People think success is a byproduct of accumulating wealth, accumulating credentials. No. Are you breathing? Are you centered? Are you calm? Do you feel good?
Yeah.
Are you doing good?
Yeah.
Okay, there's your self-mastery. That means, that for me is what it all comes down to.
Well, you had to live that out when you were younger,
You got to,
like in your own experience,
I
right?
did.
So you learnt this through
Yes.
your own life experience,
Yeah.
and
So what's your
That's-
answer on the question I asked Kate first? And, we just sidetracked. What do you see the major reason why people fail in life?
well, to pick up on, I suppose, just what Keith just
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
and what you guys have been talking about as well. We've all been. You mentioned courage. What it means to actually show courage and bravery. What we're really talking about also is how we can face ourselves, because that's a big part. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Keith, but if you were going through all that, you have to face yourself in those situations to say, how can I adapt to all that's going on around me? Similar to myself. I mean, recognizing that, hey, I've severed my spinal cord. Like, I can't take that back. What am I going to do now as a result? How can I adapt? How can I advance and then ascend from everything that's happened? Being in hospital, severing your spinal cord, you're forced to appraise, and there's no other choice but to accept what's happened. You can't turn back time. You have to move forward. And so what can you do to flow through rather than fight what's going on?
What's the Matthew Caruana, when he speaks to the kids in school, and you see them there wasting their life, and they looking for the one exit only, which is, I don't wish nobody because you've been there. But how do you feel when you see they don't care for their lives?
You know, it breaks my heart. Although one thing I'm realizing more now than ever before is young people are much deeper thinkers than they've ever been.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, only, was it 2 weeks ago, I had my first time sharing in front of primary school students. There was over 1,000 students at the ICC from years 3 to 6. Now, I was asked to speak about resilience, but I needed to frame my story differently, so it was received well. And the response was tremendous. Become Q&A time. The first question that I got blew me away. The student was 10 years old, asking me, Matt, so you've achieved the Guinness World Record. You played for Australia in the emerging rollers team. All these achievements. Is it hard to overcome challenges still? I'm thinking, wow, how deep are these kids thinking?
Yeah.
When I was 10, I wasn't thinking that.
I bet the kid and I were not. It was not that way. So, so you get these questions, right? And this sees you in a wheelchair, but again, no question asked kid as well when you go with the mat. All these kids, there's majority it's a sort of like how to say, negative trend that suicide becomes apparent more and more. And when I'm hearing some numbers, some statistics, I'm just like, my God, the age group, it's between 10 and 14. It's one of the, oh my God. And then how do you guys actually, when you go out there to help, let's just say, kids in school, how do you guys assist those kids?
Well, the biggest thing is hope, I think, that we all need. But Keith said to me one day, we're out having a meeting out at Bondi Junction, Matt, you talk about hope a lot, but let's face it, at the end of the day, hope is hopeless without action. And
Again, say again, this is your words. God, this is the Matthew Caruana words and Keith Saggers. What is the hope? Sorry, there's no hope without.
Hope is hopeless without action.
I want you to take a mental note. Hope, it's hopeless without action. Keith Saggers, Matthew Caruana. Please, sorry.
Yeah, no, those were Keith's words before mine, and then we, I suppose, together came up with the concept of transform hope through action.
How do you transform them? How do you transform someone's life?
Well, you know, the thing is you need to engage them at a deep core level. And we've got so many people running around as influencers and coaches and everything like that. But ultimately, when it comes down to, it's like Maddie said earlier, and it's been around for thousands of years, you know, the Delphi Oracle, and the various religions have talked about is know thyself. We all dodge that one journey. We'll take a journey to Byron Bay. We'll take a journey to Paris, you know, whatever. But we won't make the most important journey, that is to go in here and find ourselves. It takes effort to do that. It takes courage to do that, because when we go deep into ourselves, we actually unfortunately self-sabotage immediately, get out the value eraser and start to erase our value. And then we get into self-esteem problems, and it just grows and grows. Whereas when Matt and I are talking with people and with a client, we're going into, as you said earlier, first you've got to go into a person and give them an opportunity. Not you, we don't. We give them an experience where they will go deep into themselves, a deep subconscious level.
Yes.
And they will then begin to recognize certain things happening in them. And from those things happening in them, and we've got an exercise we did recently with a big group of corporate clients, and look, the question is this: what's the most important thing to you? So we said that quickly. What's the most important thing? One word, quick. Oh, you know, kids, the education, the mortgage, the job, the career. I said, that's the most important thing to you right now? Okay, now everybody take a big deep breath and hold it. They did.
Yeah.
And don't breathe again until I tell you to.
You can't do this. Okay, so, I get to the point, but yeah.
And mates, there were some people, I've done it before with elite athletes as well, and they go red in the face, and you see the bravado comes out in some of them, and so forth. Well, what happens, most people get to about a minute, if they're lucky, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then suddenly they have to gasp as if they're going to gasp, and they say, stop, don't breathe. And you know what happens, Mario? That their physiology is triggering, their biology is triggering, their neurocircuitry is triggering, and the survival instinct gets triggered. And that's when you know who you are. And suddenly, and then I say, take your breath. And they take this breath and they say, what's the most important thing to you quickly right now? Breathing. Why is that? Because breath is the breath of life. And we forget these fundamentals, little things, little fundamentals. But that's where we really start with a client. And when we get them on board with that, then we go into other exercises where they can experience further knowledge about themselves. Self-knowledge is a self-knowledge journey. So Mario, our formula, which we've now virtually almost reinvented all of this in a seismic power, to the 3 to the power of 3, which is 6. You have a journey going through self-knowledge, self-awareness to self-knowledge, to gain self-mastery. And that's not happening overnight, by the way. That's a continuum. And by the way, it doesn't ever finish till your last breath in life. So you've got self-awareness, understand your self-knowledge, bridge self-mastery, but they've got to be interlocked with 3 other quite powerful things.
Well, it's what makes up who we are.
Yeah, but what are those 3 things?
It's our body, our mind, and our spirit.
Yeah.
So through self-awareness and self-knowledge of our body, mind, and spirit, we activate our best self, which continues us on a growth trajectory of self-mastery. Self-mastery is a lifelong journey. It's not I'm going to hit this challenge, then, all right, I'm going to kick back, relax. No, life is constant, and we are continually growing if we choose to do so through self-awareness, self-knowledge. That'll lead to self-mastery.
I think there's a little extra to that, if I could just add it to you, and I'm going to start back this way. We talk about the Olympic Games. We talk about the Anzac fighting spirit. We talk about spirit in that sense, which is really beyond spiritual. It's actually part of what we talk about, the higher order of consciousness in the universe. So
the life force, essentially.
The life force, maybe.
Yeah.
And if someone says, look, I've got the Olympic spirit, and people talk about this during the Olympic Games, and they will be very soon.
Oh, true.
Or they talk about, on Anzac Day, talk about the Anzac spirit. That spirit, that indefinable thing that helps you prevail, as you did, Mario, in those incidents that you told me about. somewhere deep inside you sprung out your survival instinct. You couldn't help it. It's in your DNA.
Yeah.
And that became a spirit. I said to Matty once, when I was first talking to him on the telephone, I said, Matt, do you mind if I make a observation? You told me how you'd sussed out how you were going to commit suicide, which was really, to me, was how to kill yourself. Yep. And I said, and then you went up to this certain shopping centre, which had a long car park, and you found your way up to the top of it, and you did a reconnaissance and worked it out. And from that moment, then you worked out, well, if I just jump off that 7th floor onto the asphalt, concrete downstairs, well, I'll definitely obliterate myself, right? And here's my observation to Maddie was, having dealt with a lot of kids with depression and suicidal intentions, ideation, was, okay, if I boil it all down, could I suggest to you that you actually had been completely dispirited in yourself, that you had no energy, life force left in you? So it's easy to kill yourself when you don't have any life force left. And that's what people don't talk about, and they should talk about it. That's a different way of looking at suicide. So people don't have to understand it's not a victim. He made a conscious choice. And we need to go back and unpack that conscious choice. What were the ingredients in there that contributed to that? And as Maddie says, you can finally articulate it. I felt like I was a waste of space in that. But that's a good, interesting comment. I felt like a waste of space. So there was no spirit in you. If you don't have any spirit in you, you're a waste of space. And you feel it, and you exhibit it. And no one's talking about this. Is brand new to us.
Yes.
Now, I've done a lot of research in neuroscience, and Maddie's living neuroscience. He's an example, the living evidence of everything I'm talking about. And so our combination...
That is correct. Matt is living exactly what you say.
Yes.
Like, that's guys, I want you to take a note on this one. You don't have it today, just the public speakers, motivational speakers. Or you can go to Tony Robbins' Walk on Fire. This is the real deal. This is somebody who lives the life, as a kid says. Real life Matt he's living. Healthy, happy, come back from the dead, and today he shares with you possibilities, endless possibilities, as a kid says. Seismic jump and your 5 A's, which you're going to repeat again. But it's unbelievable what you say, that you guys, the kid is a real example. Sorry, the Matt is a real example, as a kid says.
Yeah.
That it's possible.
Yeah, and that's what Matt's been saying when he goes out and talks, particularly to large groups of school kids. You've got to be a living example. Like the minute he walks out, he doesn't have to speak. He rolls out in his wheelchair. He doesn't have to speak. They've got the picture. He's here. We've been told this is a special person going to talk to us, and he's in a wheelchair. Bingo, credibility straight away. So something you've been hinting at is the lack of authenticity from all the motivational speakers and all the thought leaders and all the leading lights. But how many people really can talk from a lived experience point of view, not just theory?
That's good. No, you're absolutely. You know what, Kit? That's what I say to you. But I had one very, very provocative question. Okay, very provocative question for both of you. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commercials on TV. Are you okay? Okay. Well, okay. You don't feel happy? You just call the blue hotline. What do they call them?
Yes.
You know what I mean, okay, I agree with this now. But why on earth nobody says, "Hey, kid, you have the partner in crime. His name is Matthew Caruana. He's a real example. We want to put him on a stage. Let's go. I don't know. Create a big series on TV, right? Episodes. One just
yes.
The guys can watch it. I mean, this is hi. My name is Matthew Caruana. I jumped from the 50 meters tall building.
Yeah.
This is what's happened to me, so people can relate. Why we have instead of all these fancy commercials on TV? They are fancy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Oh, my life is sad. I understand, but
no.
by the time you reach on someone on your phone line, it's something. But why I don't see Matthew Caruana more on the big screens?
Yes.
To relate.
Yes.
Together with you, because that's very powerful.
Well, very.
You can answer if you want to.
Just very quickly, I want to touch on that just briefly. In a few weeks to a month's time, we're going to go into a major launch of a big project that Matt and I created together.
Okay.
It's called Transform Hope Through Action. And we're doing it with Tender Loving Care, which is this NDI service provider out in Bankstown.
Yeah.
And they're
international, really.
They're international, and we're partnering with them. But that came out of a conversation Matt and I had that hope is hopeless without action. Yeah. So then we thought, well, let's create a social cause movement. Yeah. Let's create a campaign, and let's actually get this into a stage where we're doing live big venue events. We've got another one which is called Have a Go, where we put, get a group of people like ourselves, Mario, put us in a group on a basketball court, get us to sit in a wheelchair and say, "No, you play basketball in a wheelchair." And of course, they fall over, they topple, but they come out with a learning experience because we're sick and tired of rhetoric. We just want action. And action speaks louder than words. So therefore, like we were talking yesterday, Matty had a meeting and we we're just saying, lovely video of Matthew, like he's in the exoskeleton trying, all the technology is there, millions of dollars worth of technology. And the saying that we have is, that I share with Matty, is that people say, why does he keep doing all that training all the time in the exoskeleton? He's got a severed spine and blah, blah, blah. And the way we put it's like this. Matt's already walking, he's just waiting for his body to catch up for him. He's already walking, he's just waiting for his body to catch up. So he's training his body, but he's already walking.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, like, I wanted to walk again. Like, I wanted that right away from my injury. And I've been blessed. Despite severing my spinal cord, I've been able to have little bits of, like, it started with just tiny, tiny, tiny flickers of muscles. But I took that and ran with it. I'm like, if I can do that, could I strengthen it up? Can I get it further? Could I have other muscles start firing? And I've been very grateful that other things have started coming back. Didn't just happen on its own, though. I had to choose to do rehab. And look, it's, I mean, I do rehab every day. And the thing is, am I walking yet? No, I'm now 8.5 years post-injury. I have to see this vision in my mind and just go after it and keep going, keep working after it. And, how I say it, it's the hardest, longest journey. It's probably my Everest of goals that I'm going to have is to walk again personally. And I want to, turn that hope and make it real. I want to turn that aspiration into my actuality. So I just have to keep going after it. And people doubt me, but doesn't mean I have to listen to it. I've had doctors say it's impossible, nothing's going to come back and this and that. After a year is the most you'll ever get back. But I suppose I just have to keep transforming that hope through action. And it's the only way I'm going to be able to achieve my goal if I'm going to achieve it.
I was on an event with you guys. I want to say, thank you, Yasser Zaki. And, it was a great event. And I remember, I have the booklet still today. And I took it because of one reason, because of you. I didn't know we are going to have the interview soon, but I wanted to show everybody. I know this young man, and sharing a story. So, one thing I saw on that event, TLC, that all these people, let's go start. I said to Yasser, Yasser, I was at table number, 13, 14. And next to me was all these guys and girls who work in his coffee shop, right? Yeah. They were so grateful. They were so kind. Yeah. And I said to myself, these people are grateful, they included in something. Like then the Matt spoke, and another lady in a wheelchair as well, the blind girl, she was singing, right? And I would have thought, it's like, they're cheeky people. They're not like a feeling to feel sorry for them. They're like really like human beings. They are people who can we learn so much, but we yet refusing or we don't want to see it. But would you agree with me if I put the top, line that health is the most important element for success, happiness, mental health as well in life? What do you think? Is a health important element or not?
Well, without health, you die. So health is very important, and health.
Mental health.
If you don't know how to breathe, for example, if you don't know how to breathe properly, you're already dying. Every breath out is death. Every breath in is life. That's a physiological fact. Okay.
Oh, this is powerful.
Yeah, it is. We don't even know that. Every time we breathe out, we die.
It's the first thing we have when we're born, the last thing we have when we die.
Yeah, breathe in, breathe out. You live and die every second with every
You
breath.
You said this way, I never think that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, but it's so true. It's so powerful.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. So under the umbrella of health, you've got a whole range of modalities, but the most important thing is understand how to breathe properly, because you take, on average, the average person takes 20,000 breaths a day, on average, right? How many of those breaths are quality? Because it brings in oxygen, and that's nutrients, and that goes into the bloodstream, and then that goes through the body, but importantly, it goes to the brain. 20% goes to the brain. So if the right oxygen isn't getting into the brain, people get brain fog, they feel depressed, they get down, they don't feel up to doing anything. So therefore, how simple is this? if you're not breathing from your diaphragm, your belly, you're breathing shallow from your chest. If you're breathing shallow from your chest, you're breathing in that much oxygen when in actual fact you need that much. Now, why would we do that to ourselves? Because we're not consciously aware of these facts, and we're also not self-aware. Like if I'm talking with you and I'm talking with Maddie, or if I'm on the phone with someone, I'm constantly I'm auditing myself. So if we're not breathing correctly and we're not helping out with the oxygen into the brain, how can we expect to be at our operable best? How can we perform at our best? So then we take drugs, or we take caffeine, and we do this, that, and the other thing. And then along come, psychologists who want to give you cognitive behavioural therapy, and they want to do all these things. But I've noticed that if I can get hold of a person and get them to do that exercise about breathing, what's the most important thing to you, they turn on a dime. And Maddie's point is that if you don't appreciate death, you don't appreciate life. Like, only after he tried to commit suicide and then got angry with himself in the hospital, like, I'm a complete failure, I couldn't even kill myself.
How pathetic am I now?
How pathetic am I now?
If I was worthless beforehand.
I'm double worthless now. So then he had to go on this long journey of, who am I really? And that discovery process means health is important, emotional, physical, psychological, spiritual. They're all energy forces, though. That's what people don't understand. When we talk about health, health is just an energy force. Everything in this world is an energy force of atoms, revolving, transforming. But if we don't pay attention to these little fundamentals and stop talking about all the rhetoric and all the big stories and walk on fire and all that stuff, if we just get rid of all of that and come back to basics, Mario, like, if you walk into a room of people, and I've mentioned this to you, I always feel the temperature of the room. I allow my spirit to flow out. I let it go bounce, 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 and then it comes back to me.
Flow into the room almost.
Tells me something. Yeah. I think this guy is agitated. That guy's very calm. This one's full of bravado. So that's what I do, because I'm self-aware. But
I truly admire you about yourself. Again, I say, like, when you talk, I'm just imagining things, right? Like, I just try to think, you say, when I walk in a room, I feel temperature, so to myself, how he walks into myself. But I understand the concept, because that's a very important.
Yeah.
So before we wind up, what services you guys offering, how people can find you, and what they can expect from you?
Maddie.
Well, seismicjump.com, that's our website where we, I suppose, outline our program, what it dovetails, what's within it, the inner GPS that we spoke about, which is the body, mind, and spirit being harmoniously integrated through self-awareness, self-knowledge, leading to self-mastery. And we deliver programs tailor-made for organizations, corporates, schools, and it's more fun than anything else. It's an exploratory journey. I think it is.
It's a menu of deliverables. Okay.
Oh, I love this menu. Oh, this day, what my fear is, kid? There's going to be a lot of those, gurus. Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to listen to this interview? Who's going to say, what the kid he says. That's it's a kid and math words. I want you to remember this, because one day we can highlight this. And I said, okay, it's a menu of deliverables.
Yes.
How good is that?
Yeah.
It's like, I want a breakfast, I want this.
Yeah, that's right.
For my mental health, for my strength, everything else. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
First thing on top of your head, how do you stay sane? How do you stay mentally okay in your head? What are the exercises you do? Do you do boxing with the mat or?
No.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm in a high performance state.
Okay. Can you share with us how somebody
you can get into it?
Yes.
Would you like? I can tell you very quickly how you can get
please.
into it. And you don't have to spend years to do this. For example, where you're sitting right now, if you just look from where you are up to the top where my finger is, just look at that.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, gaze at it. And as you're gazing at it, just let your eyes go out of focus. And as it goes out of focus and you're feeling this sense of oneness with everything around you, and you're feeling relaxed, and the more you relax, the more feeling of being part of everything comes upon you. And you've softened your eyes, really softened your eyes. And when you soften your eyes, what happens, and this is all true, right? This is all physiologically, biologically, it secretes a different thing, and I won't go into all the details, but it secretes a different chemical, and this is part of the pituitary gland. What it does, when you look up, you trigger into the frontal cortex a chemical, and I'm doing it right now. This makes you so relaxed. I get so relaxed by doing it. So I'm using a physiological, biological, neurological connection to instigate it within myself. But then what I do, I'll do it just when I'm looking at you, because I can now do it just by looking somewhere.
Yeah.
So even like any circumstance when I feel like I'm getting agitated or really frustrated, I have to remind myself, self-awareness. I have to audit myself. It's my responsibility. It's not Maddie's or anyone. I have the sole responsibility. Do I want to be calm? Learn to be calm. Do I want to be able to make people better in themselves? Well, I have to be better in me first. You know, the old cliche now is like Mahatma Gandhi said, if you want to see change in the world, see the change in yourself first. Well, it's still true. It's become a cliche, but it's true.
It does. It does.
You know.
It does. You know, you said this one wrong. Yeah.
Well, I think even to take it a step further, absolutely. I mean, if you want to see a change in the world, I mean, change yourself first. Who needs that change? Who in your life needs you to be your best?
Yeah.
I think that's the question we
That's a
have
great
to ask
question.
ourselves,
Yeah.
which lead us, well, if anything, motivates us, inspires us to want to bring our best, to be self-aware, to monitor ourselves and bring our best to any situation.
I'm very thankful you found time today to
Yeah.
come in studio,
Yeah.
to share your knowledge. Guys, I'm going to put in comment section below the contact details of the kids Saggers and Matthew Caruana and Sesame Jump, right? Correct. sesamejump.com.au. I'm going to put a website as well there. So feel free to contact either Matt or Kate. And let's go start going, guys. You know, don't make it complicated, your life. Make it easier life and make your life more profitable in a way that your mental health flowing, that you can reach your key objectives in your life. Doesn't matter what they are. But Kate and Matt's going to find a way. So Matt, thank you. Kate, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mario.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Only way is up.
The only way is up.
Only way is up.